So in this video we are going to create a user list screen where we are going to display all of the user information along with the name, email, and also checkbox to update the user to be an admin or not. So we'll be creating a particular form which is only again restricted only for the users, and no admin will be able to update some other admins details like that. Okay, so we have already done that few things in the last video. So in this video, let's go ahead and create a controller and make a request to the backend in order to edit that particular user. Okay, so let's go to our backend, and within the user controller we already have one function to just update the user. Okay, so I guess that we did it in the user profile screen. Okay, so where's that? I guess it's somewhere here. So we have that user update user profile. Okay, so this is only restricted to the logged in users to update their information. We are going to create another function to update a user for the admin. Okay, so let's call this update user just like that, and set this to an async function within the async handler. Okay, I guess I need to disable my copilot. Okay, so okay, let's now create a user and set that to await. So the user model dot find by id, and this is coming from the rec dot params. Okay, so we are going to deal that in the form of the request url. So we are going to get it from there. So rec dot params dot id. All right, so now we are going to based on this id we are going to find the particular user's information. So const, so let's check if the user exists. Okay, so if user, then we are going to update the user details in our database. Okay, so it could be just few fields could be blank. We are just going to check that condition. Okay, so let's update first the name of the user. Okay, and we are going to get that from the rec.body. Okay, so along with this we are also going to get the rec.body dot name. Okay, so if that is filled, if not, it will use the same name which is in our database. Okay, so user dot name which is in our database. So next we are going to do the same for the email. So I'm just going to duplicate this and change this to email, and then we are going to also update the value of isadmin. Okay, so this is the main reason we are creating this user edit form, in order to make the user an admin or not. If not, the user can update the profile by himself. Okay, so no admin can actually do that. So then we have this isadmin property within our user, and we are going to get that from the rec dot body dot isadmin, and this will get in the form of a string. Okay, whether this property is true or false. So let's convert that to a boolean. Okay, so that's done. Now let's create a variable called updated user and save the user instance. So updated user, and set that to await user dot save. So this will save the particular user details whatever is changed, and it will also store it in this variable, which I guess, do we need to send this in a form of response? I guess we don't need any response. Okay, so since we are fetching again from the database, so we can get rid of this, and let's send a response saying that dot json with a message saying updated user, sorry, user updated successfully. Okay, so that's done. Now let's go to the else part and handle if there is no user. So let's set the status code of 404, which means not found. Throw new error saying user not found, like that. Okay, so that's done. Now things like there's some problem. Maybe I messed up some brackets, so I had to put a bracket here. Okay, so let's now finally export this update user. Okay, so after saving that, let's create a route for it within our user routes. So let's go to the colon id. Okay, so we can just probably duplicate this and call this particular id. Okay, so we are getting from the reg.params, and we can call this update user function. So update user. Okay, so this should be colon id, which will be grabbed by our reg.params. Okay, so we are going to handle this right now with in our front end. So I guess we are done for this backend. Okay, for the user controller to update the user. So let's go to our client, and within our slices folder we have the user API slice, right? So let's create a endpoint to update the user. So let's create one right below this, calling update user, and set that to builder dot mutation. Seems like something's wrong. Yeah, so my laptop is sometimes slow, so don't mind. So then we have the query which we need to pass. Okay, so this will take in the particular user, the user information to be updated. So let's just call this data. Okay, so we can set this to a function which returns these values. So first let's uh, specify the URL. So that is coming from the user's URL. Where's that user URL? Where's that? Yeah, so let's put this inside a template string, and let's make this as an expression, users URL, and that then we are going to pass in the particular ID. Okay, so that is going to be this data.id, or probably we can just call this user, since we are having the ID in it. So user.id. So again, an expression, user dot underscore id. All right, and let's finally go and specify the method and set that to post. Sorry, this is going to be a put request. Okay, so I again forgot to change that within our user routes. So let's change this to a put request, since we are dealing some fields in our database. So that's done, and let's now specify, or set the body to this user. Okay, so which contains all the different information which will be grabbed within our user controller by all these values. Okay, so I hope that's clear. So now let's finally export this, use update user mutation, like that, and yeah, that's done. So now let's go to our front end and create a particular user edit screen. Okay, so that we can edit the user details along with the name, email, and the we'll be creating a checkbox in order to set the property of is admin, if the user is an admin, to make him as an admin or not, and then we'll a button to save it. Okay, so let's go to a screen. So we already have a screen for the to edit the user, I guess. No, we don't have it yet. So let's create one to update to sorry to edit the user. So user edit screen, not like this. All right, so let's create a function, and let's first mount this on our main.jsx and just see if everything's working. So right inside our main.jsx, let's restrict this to only an admin within this admin routes. All right, so I'm just going to uh, probably duplicate this and set this to admin slash users slash the particular user ID. So colon ID and slash edit, and set this to user edit screen. All right, so let's import that. My laptop is slow. All right, so that's done. Now let's have a look if we are able to access this route. So before that, we need to link up the button within our user list screen. Okay, so we have a button, right? So which we created in the last video. So within the user list screen, in order to delete or edit the user. So right here, so let's create a on-click handler to redirect us to that URL. So on-click, and set this to a function which probably we can call this on edit. All right, so we can just copy this and go right above this and call that function. So this will basically contain the particular user's ID. Okay, so let's also pass that in. So we need to call this onEdit function along with the user dot underscore id, user dot underscore id. So let's grab that id here, and now let's redirect the user to that particular URL. Okay, so this will navigate the user to navigate. Okay, let's specify the URL, not like this. So let's open our template string and let's go to slash admin slash users slash then the dynamic value of the id, so whichever the particular instance of the user list. Okay, whichever edit button we click on it, so that user id, so user dot underscore id, then slash edit, like that. Okay, so everything looks good. Okay, so that's done. Now let's initialize navigate. So const navigate, set that equal to use navigate. All right, so that's done. Now let's go to our front end and just click on any one of the edit button and test it out. So let's go to our users, and we have all the users list, right? So let's click on any one of these edit buttons, and there we go. We see the user list screen for the moment, and later we'll be grabbing this particular ID and be editing all the particular fields that the admin enters, and it will update this user ID within our database. Okay, so let's go ahead and perform that. So now let's go and paste in our JSX, which you can also find within this JSX folder if you wish to copy and paste. So this is just a simple React component without any state or anything, just plain HTML and CSS. So we just have a heading of edit user, and we have a form in order to edit the particular user's details like the name, the email, and a small checkbox in order to update the particular user to an admin or not. Okay, so this is in the form of a checkbox. Okay, so this will go ahead and when we check this and hit submit, it will make the user an admin. Okay, so as simple as this, and let's go ahead and grab the user update user function that we created within our user update user slice. Okay, so let's destructure that. Const update user, and let's get the is loading state that is coming from use update user mutation and call it. So we have this update user function, and after filling all these forms, we are going to call this function with all these values. Okay, so let's go ahead and create the state first of all. So I just forgot about that. So let's call this name, set name, and set this to use state. So this is going to be a local state, and we are going to pass this an initial value of an empty string. And let's do the same for the email and the property of isadmin. So let's change this to email and email, and also the property of isadmin, then set isadmin, and this is going to be a boolean. Okay, for initially it is going to be false. All right, so looks good. So now let's go ahead and control this within our form. So let's give it a value of, and set that to the name, and on change set that to the event, and set name to not like this, that is e dot target dot value value, that like that. And let's duplicate this same for the other fields as well. Seems like something's wrong. Okay, nothing's wrong, it's just that my laptop is slow. So let's duplicate this to our rest of the fields and set this to email, and also the same for the checkbox. So is admin, Alright, so we have controlled the inputs, and now let's create a function such that if we submit the form, it should call this update or the update user function. So let's also handle that within this button on click, and let's call this handle update user. Okay, so let's also create the same when we submit the form. Alright, so let's create that function. So now we just need to not like this. Okay, so let's call the update user function. So let's open our try catch first. Alright, so let's await on this and make this async, the update user function, and then pass in our name, email, and the property of sysadmin. Okay, so also we need to pass in the particular id that we are getting from the url params. Okay, so let's first of all get that. So sometimes I forget to do some things, so let's grab the id that is coming from use params, like that, and let's call this update user function with the name, email, is admin, and also the id of the product. Okay, so let's call this underscore id, since we also called it within our user API space, or we can just call this id. Okay, and same as here. Okay, so this id is pertaining to the id that we are getting from the url params. Okay, so that's done, and let's create a toast message, toast.success, saying that updated user, or you know what, we have already sent that in the form of response, right? So we can just grab that and set this to rest.message. Alright, so that's done. So if there's any error, let's catch that. I'm just going to any one of these and just copying this message. Okay, so that's done, and let's handle the is loading part. So if it is loading, let's show a spinner right below this button. Is loading, and show the spinner, like that. Okay, so everything is done. Now let's go ahead and test it out. So I guess we are not setting this is admin property. No, yes we are. It is like somewhat blurred out, so I just had a doubt on it. So I guess everything is fine. Do we need the refetch for this in order to get the fresh data? Okay, so let's also add in the refetch. Okay, so in order to make another request to get the updated user. Okay, so let's call the refetch right here, and now let's test it out if everything is working fine. So just a small correction, this should be checked and not value. So it will be checked based on this boolean value of is admin. Okay, so whenever we change it, we just want to make this particular value to opposite of whatever we have. Okay, so this should also be checked like that, and yeah, so let's now test it out. So also, you know what, we can redirect the user back to the product list screen. So let's import navigate for that. Use navigate, and let's navigate to slash admin slash users, like that. Okay, so that's done. So I sometimes forget to add some steps. Okay, so everything is working, so all good. So it's now time to test. So let's go to our front end, and there we go. We have our edit user screen. Okay, with the name, the email, and a checkbox to update the user to an admin. Okay, so for now we have this John Doe. Let's go ahead and update his details. So let's change this to just John. Let's change this just to John Doe, and email to john 1 at email.com, and let's make John an admin and click on update. uh, I don't know what happened. Let's check our console. Maybe there's some error saying handle update user is not defined. Maybe I just spelled that wrong. Handle update user, that's what is it, that's what it is. uh, I don't know, let's refresh. Let's you know what, try it once again. So let's go to John and try to add in the same ones as before. So let's click on update and check our network request. Yeah, there we go. So actually for some reason it wasn't able to make that request. So again I had to refresh it. I guess I didn't refresh it, that's why I had this problem in updating this user. So if we have a look at our network tab, probably we would have made a successful request to our users to update that. So not this, but this one. Okay, so this is a put request to API slash user slash the ID, and we are passing in the particular data, okay, to whatever needs to be an admin. Okay, so whatever needs to be updated. Okay, so let's go to John and just check it out. So if we have our users, so we have changed the name from John Doe to John Doe and John1 at email.com, and right now John is now an admin. Okay, so if I now log in using John, okay, so if I log out and log in using John, so this time it's John1, and click on login. So they will see that John Doe or John Doe is now an admin. So even John can handle this particular backend. Okay, all the managing of orders, products, and users. So in the next video, we will be handling this delete button. So in order to delete a particular user, so the user should no longer exist, and we also have this form, right? So it should be auto filled by whatever the user information is there within our database. Okay, so let's do that next.